The trigger. The room trembled the moment their eyes met. Kale Ren froze, stylus still in hand, mid-diagnostic over the floating Seraphim translator orb. Across the polished obsidian floor of the Interstellar Summit Hall, Princess Eris Valari, the most protected being in the known galaxy, stopped mid-sentence. Her voice cut out like a snapped signal, her golden pupils dilated unnaturally, her breath hitched, and then she dropped. The crystalline goblet she held clattered and shattered on the floor beside her limp hand. Gasps echoed across the room. Alien dignitaries backed away. Earth's delegation surged forward, but too late. Seraphim guards were already in motion, their crescent-shaped weapons drawn in eerie silence. Kale stood there, paralyzed. No sudden movements, a security officer snapped in Galactic standard. Too late. The princess convulsed on the floor, her body glowing faintly from beneath her skin, a luminescent pulse that beat like a second heart. Strange glyphs flickered under her collarbone, spiraling into view, like bioluminescent circuitry waking from dormancy. Kyle dropped the stylus. "What the hell is happening?" A crackling energy burst from her chest, an expanding wave of reddish-white light that shimmered outward like a sonic boom. The blast sent nearby devices into a frenzy. Translator orbs short-circuited, holoscreens shattered. Kyle felt his knees buckle. A Seraphim medic reached the princess first. "It's the response. Oh no, it's real, it's real." Kyle didn't hear the rest. 6 Seraphim guards grabbed him at once, their pale, elongated arms stronger than they looked. He was yanked backward, arms twisted behind him as someone barked in an ancient dialect. "She looked at me!" Kyle shouted. "I didn't touch her. I didn't." The lights dimmed. The air shimmered with heat. Princess Eris's body stopped seizing, her back arching unnaturally, her eyes fluttering open, 2 glowing orbs of molten gold. Her voice came out like a whisper through fire. "Bound." Then everything went dark. Kel woke in a metal cell, no windows, no clocks. Just the low hum of a Seraphim-class gravity field and the faint throb of a headache pounding behind his eyes. His wrists were cuffed, though loosely. The Seraphim didn't believe in primitive iron bars. Everything here was soft light, magnetic, pulses and translucent partitions. But the implications were the same. He was a prisoner. Kyle paced the room, 5 steps by 6, and every few hours a nutrient mist sprayed into the air from the wall, feeding him through absorption. Efficient. Inhuman. He hated it. He didn't know how long he'd been there when the wall shimmered. A pale blue shape formed in the entrance, broad-shouldered, grey-skinned, with a facial structure too symmetrical to be human. Advisor Thalos, high-ranking Seraphim diplomat. Kyle stood. "Can someone explain what happened?" "I didn't do anything." To her, Thalos studied him, unreadable. "You locked eyes with the royal heiress. That was enough." Enough to cause... that? What even was that? Thalos stepped forward, arms folded behind his back. "You triggered a forbidden response, something that should not be possible between species, something that was genetically suppressed long ago." Kale's heart pounded. "Suppressed?" "The response," Thalos said, voice low, "was an ancient biological protocol, a resonance initiated through ocular contact, meant to identify a perfect neural pairing, one capable of stabilizing royal telepathic networks. It was outlawed centuries ago." Kale blinked. "Wait, telepathic what now? You wouldn't understand." "Try me," Thalos sighed. "Seraphim rulers once bonded their minds to a partner. The resulting connection allowed them to process the psychic strain of rule. Only certain genetic matches could trigger this. It was considered sacred, but the last time it happened across species, it nearly caused a civil war." Kyle stared at him. "So you think I triggered this? With my eyes?" "You did trigger it. I don't even know her." Thalos's Eyes narrowed, and yet the heiress responded to you. That is not a coincidence. It is biology. One written in code far older than your planet's history. Kyle stepped back, hitting the wall. So what happens now? You are being considered a threat to the Empire. Because of eye contact. Because the princess is now bonded to you. And if her neural patterns destabilize, she dies, and possibly, so do you. Kyle went cold. You're saying I'm connected to her now? Thalas's silence was answer enough. In the next cell over, beyond a wall of shimmering light, Princess Eris Valari lay in a medical cradle. Silver tubes ran from her temples, glowing faintly with data. Her breaths were shallow, but stable. Technicians murmured over readouts. She's sinking again. Heartbeat matching the human's circadian rhythm. She's dreaming. Of what? We're trying to translate now. They looked at each other uneasily. One whispered, "It's his name." Hours, maybe days. Later, Kale was summoned. No explanation. No warning. Just the blue shimmer of a door appearing again, and two silent seraphim guards flanking him as they led him through a spiraling corridor of glass, energy, and silence. They stopped at a chamber door. "Do not touch her," one guard said flatly. "Do not speak unless spoken to." The door dissolved. Kale stepped in and froze. Princess Eris sat upright on a floating medical platform, her long silver-gold hair loose around her shoulders. Her posture was regal, but her eyes softer now, uncertain. "Leave us," she said in her native tongue. The guards hesitated, then obeyed. Kyle took a step closer. "Are you okay?" Her head tilted, curious. "You still speak." "I've got a lot of questions." "So do I." They studied each other in silence. Then she whispered, "I saw your memories." Kyle frowned. "What?" "When we were connected. I saw them. Your childhood, the crash, your sister." Her eyes. He went still. "She had my eyes, Kyle," Eris said softly. "That's why." "You didn't look away." His voice was barely a whisper. "I didn't know what I was doing." "Neither did I. That's what makes it real." He rubbed his temple. "Why me? Why now? I'm not special. I'm just a systems engineer." "You're not just anything. The binding chooses. It doesn't explain." Kyle looked at her, really looked. She was a royal emissary, powerful, genetically enhanced, bound by rules older than Earth's atmosphere. And somehow their lives were now interlinked in a way neither of them understood. "What does this mean?" he asked. Eris's expression hardened. "It means we're in danger. The Council sees you as a threat to royal bloodlines. They'll vote to sever the connection, even if it kills us both." Kyle swallowed hard. "So, what do we do?" She looked up at him, eyes glowing faintly. "We survive." The binding, the heavy doors to the medical chamber sealed shut behind Kyle, leaving a faint echo of their hiss in the sterile air. Princess Eris Valari remained seated on the floating platform, the soft pulse of her golden eyes the only movement. In the dim light, Kyle's mind reeled with every word she'd spoken. The binding, the threat, the council, severing the connection. None of it felt real until the shimmer of energy humming faintly between them proved otherwise. "I don't even know what this binding truly means," Kyle admitted, voice low, as if sharing a secret with the shadows themselves. "How can it kill us both?" Eris's gaze hardened. "The neural link between us is more than just a connection. It's a resonance. If disrupted violently, the feedback loop could cause neural collapse in one or both hosts." Kyle swallowed. "Hard. So they want to, what, rip our minds apart?" "Yes. And you're okay with this?" She hesitated. "The Council fears the risk. They want to preserve the purity of royal bloodlines at any cost. I'm not so sure." He stepped closer, the weight of the situation pressing down on his chest. "Why don't you fight it? You're a princess. You have power." "Power, yes. But I am bound by laws older than any empire. The very protocols that protect me also imprison me. Her words were a paradox, a royal imprisoned by tradition and fear. Suddenly, her expression shifted, eyes flickering like stars caught in a storm. I need you to understand something. The binding has already begun. Kyle's brow furrowed. What do you mean? Eris lifted her wrist, revealing faint blue circuitry glowing beneath her translucent skin, the sign of her royal neural implants. When the response triggered, our neural networks began syncing, she explained. It's invisible to most, but it's there. Our thoughts, emotions, even physical sensations are beginning to echo between us. Kyle swallowed hard, feeling a strange warmth spread through his chest. You mean, I can feel what you feel? She nodded. And you will. Soon enough. I fear, before Kale could reply, a sharp chime sounded from the chamber's console. Eris's eyes snapped toward the source, narrowing. Council delegates, she murmured. They're here. The chamber doors dissolved, revealing a group of stern-faced seraphim diplomats, their shimmering robes and pale eyes immediately commanding authority. At their head was Magistrate Silan, a cold woman whose reputation for ruthlessness preceded her. Princess Eris, Silan said, her voice like a blade scraping glass. And Kale Wren. I trust you understand the gravity of your situation. Kale felt a chill. I'm still trying to understand it. Selan's gaze pierced him. You triggered an ancient protocol forbidden for centuries. A protocol that threatens the stability of the Empire and the sanctity of our royal lineage. Eris stepped forward. This connection is beyond my control, Magistrate. I ask you to consider— Enough, Selan snapped. The Council's decision is final. The binding must be severed. You, Kale Wren, will be taken for examination. The consequences of your actions will be judged. Kale bristled. You're treating me like a criminal, not a person. Because you endangered us all. Before anyone could react, Eris's hand shot out, grabbing Kale's wrist. A sudden jolt rippled through them both. Kale gasped as vision surged unbidden into his mind. The vast, starry expanse of Eris's homeworld, the towering spires of the Seraphim capital, her childhood memories filled with both wonder and pain. Eris's voice trembled. You see, we are already linked. Selan's eyes narrowed dangerously. This is why we cannot allow this connection to persist. Back in his cell later that night, Kyle lay awake, tangled in thoughts as vivid images of Eris's world flashed behind his eyelids. He felt her emotions, the loneliness beneath her royal facade, the crushing weight of duty and a deep, aching fear. His own memories surged forward in response, the small farmhouse where he grew up, the sister who died far too young, the accident that left a scar no one could see. The connection was more than physical. It was raw, emotional, undeniable. The next morning, the cell door shimmered open once again. This time, Kale was escorted to a high-security chamber deep within the palace, a room buzzing with strange technology and pulsing with energy. There, he was introduced to Dr. Elara Voss, a specialist in interspecies neurobiology. We will attempt to study the binding, she explained, her voice clinical but with an undercurrent of urgency. If we understand the connection, we may find a way to control it or sever it without harm. Kyle nodded cautiously. And if you fail, Elara's eyes softened. We won't fail. Over the next several days, Kyle endured a battery of tests, mental, physical, neurological, all designed to probe the mysterious bond that tethered him to Eris. Sensors scanned his brainwaves, measuring synchronization with hers. Tests designed to stress the neural link revealed both promise and danger. One evening, as Kale rested, he suddenly felt Eris's presence like a whisper in his mind. Kale, she projected, we need to talk. Alone. The connection pulsed, stronger than ever. Against protocol, Kael agreed. The two met in a secure communication chamber, a virtual space where their consciousnesses could meet beyond physical boundaries. The chamber shimmered into existence around him, a surreal landscape of swirling stars and shifting colors anchored by the presence of Eris's avatar, radiant and ethereal. "Kyle," she said softly, "the binding is more than a biological response. It's a promise, a connection forged not by chance, but by fate." He looked into her golden eyes, feeling the gravity of her words. "What kind of promise?" Eris's expression grew serious. "To protect the Empire, to bridge worlds, to survive." The words hung heavy in the virtual air. "But," Kyle whispered, "what if they decide to end this, to cut the bond?" Eris shook her head. "Then we both die." Suddenly, the chamber flickered violently, alarms blaring. "We're being traced," Eris said, panic creeping into her voice. "They're coming for us." Kale's heart hammered. "What do we do?" "Hide the link, distract the council, find allies." He nodded, determination hardening. "Where do we start?" Eris smiled faintly. "With Earth?" The bond between Kale and Eris was no accident. It was the start of a journey that would challenge everything they believed about loyalty, identity, and the very definition of humanity. Because sometimes survival meant trusting the enemy. Because sometimes the greatest power came from the most unexpected connections. And because sometimes the fate of a galaxy depended on the eyes of a human. Shadows in the Empire. The dim glow of the secret chamber flickered as Eris and Kale's shared. Consciousness shifted back to reality. They had escaped the virtual sanctuary, but the council's shadow loomed large over them. Kyle rubbed his temples, feeling the strain of the neural bond more acutely with every passing moment. The connection pulsed like a living thread weaving their fates together, and the more he sensed her thoughts, the harder it became to separate their identities. Eris paced slowly, her usual regal composure cracked by unease. "The Council's reach is vast, Kyle. They've already sent hunters to track our movements." Kyle frowned. "Hunters? On Earth?" Eris's golden eyes darkened. "Yes. They believe you're a threat to the royal bloodline, to the Empire itself." Kale clenched his fists. "I didn't ask for any of this. I'm just a man who stirred something ancient, something the Empire has tried to bury for centuries." Kale turned, the weight of her gaze pressing on him. "What is it you're hiding, Eris? Why is the Council so terrified of this binding?" She stopped pacing and faced him squarely. "Because it breaks the rules. The Empire is built on purity and control. The binding threatens to unravel that." The next days passed in a blur of covert meetings and whispered conversations. Eris risked everything to meet Kale under the veil of darkness, sharing fragments of her world's history, stories of a time when different species once lived in harmony, united by bonds similar to theirs. There was a peace long before the Council seized power, Eris explained one night, the neural connection amplifying the sincerity in her voice. The binding was a symbol of unity, a promise between worlds. But power corrupted that ideal. Kyle listened, fascinated by the glimpse into a forgotten past. "So, this connection, it's not a curse." "No," Eris said softly. "It's a chance to heal what was broken." Their bond deepened, growing beyond neural signals and biological reactions. Kyle began to feel Eris's hopes, fears, and the quiet strength beneath her royal exterior. Meanwhile, the Council's agents on Earth moved closer. Kyle's simple life unraveled as he realized familiar faces in his neighborhood weren't who they seemed. Strange figures lurked in shadows, tracking his every step. One evening, as Kale walked home, a flicker of movement caught his eye. A slender figure darted between alleyways, watching. He quickened his pace, heart pounding. Back in his apartment, he locked every door and window, but the sense of being hunted gnawed at him. Suddenly, a soft knock came from the window. Gale spun around, startled. "Kyle Wren," a voice whispered through the glass. "We're not your enemies." Kyle's breath caught. Outside stood a woman, her features sharp and determined, but her eyes held an unspoken plea. "I'm Mira," she said. "I'm here to help." Mira's story unfolded quickly. She was a rebel, a former council operative who had grown disillusioned with their ruthless methods. "The council fears what you and Eris represent," Mira explained in a hushed tone as they met in a secluded warehouse. "A future where species coexist without chains." Kyle absorbed the truth in her words. "But how can we fight an empire so powerful?" Mira smiled grimly. "By finding those who still believe in the old ways. By awakening hope." Kyle glanced at Eris, who stood silently beside him. The weight of their connection felt heavier, but also more vital. "We'll need allies," Eris said, voice steady despite the uncertainty. "And we'll need a plan." That plan came with risks. To evade the Council's hunters, Eris and Kale would have to leave Earth, and the one place Kale had ever called home. The thought terrified him. "I don't even know where to begin." Eris took his hand, the warmth between them igniting a spark of courage. "Together, we'll find a way." As the night deepened, a distant hum filled the air, faint but growing. Outside the warehouse, shadows moved in silent coordination. The council had found them. The door shattered inward. Kyle reacted instinctively, shielding Eris as figures in. Sleek armor poured in. But Mira's quick reflexes saved them. They vanished into the maze of back alleys before capture. Panting in the darkness, Eris's eyes glowed fiercely. "This isn't over," she vowed. Kyle nodded, heart pounding. "It's just beginning." In the quiet moments before dawn, Eris and Kyle shared a silent promise, one forged in danger, trust, and an unbreakable bond. Because in a galaxy ruled by fear and control, sometimes the greatest rebellion started with a simple human heart. Flight into the unknown. The first light of dawn painted the sky a pale violet as Eris, Kale, and Mira disappeared into the sprawling urban maze. The city, once a place of normalcy for Kale, now felt like a cage closing in around them. Mira's voice was calm but urgent as she led the way. "We have one chance to escape. There's a hidden shipyard beyond the old industrial sector. If we can reach it, Eris's people have a vessel waiting. It's our only hope." Kyle glanced over his shoulder, the weight of pursuit pressing behind them. His heart raced, not just from the chase, but from the uncertainty of what lay ahead. Leaving Earth? "I never imagined this," Kyle murmured, his fingers brushing Eris's hand. The connection thrummed between them, a lifeline in the chaos. Eris's gaze was resolute. The Empire's grip is tightening. Staying means certain capture. As they weaved through deserted streets and crumbling factories, Mira shared more about the Empire's reach. The Council controls fleets across star systems. They enforce their rule with absolute power, crushing dissent before it can spark. Kyle's mind reeled. "But why me? Why this connection?" Mira shook her head. "Because you are the first human to awaken the binding in generations. Your biology, your emotions, they're unpredictable. The Council fears what you represent, freedom from their control," Eris added quietly. "And the Council's fear makes them ruthless." Suddenly, the distant roar of engines shattered the silence. Hover vehicles streaked through the sky. Searchlights piercing the dawn. "They've found us," Mira hissed. "We have to move faster." With adrenaline fueling their flight, the trio pushed onward, finally arriving at the abandoned shipyard. Massive vessels lay dormant, relics of forgotten wars and old alliances. Eris approached a sleek silver craft, their escape pod. "Board quickly," she urged. Kyle glanced back, seeing the approaching shadows. Council enforcers closing in, with cold precision. Inside the ship, the hum of engines came alive as Eris activated the controls. The vessel shuddered, lifting off just as the first enforcers reached the dock. Kyle pressed against the window, watching the city fade into the morning haze. His life, once ordinary, was now a story entwined with alien royalty and interstellar rebellion. Mira exhaled, her tension easing slightly. "We're not safe yet, but we've bought time." Eris stared ahead, eyes glowing softly. "We need to reach the hidden sanctuary, the heart of the old alliance. There, we can plan our next move." The journey through space was tense but brief. The ship darted through nebulae and asteroid belts, guided by Eris's precise knowledge. Kale marveled at the stars, feeling both small and significant. "I never believed in aliens before," Kale admitted, "but now it feels like my whole world has expanded." Eris smiled faintly. "The universe is full of wonders and dangers, Kyle, and you're at the center of it." Upon arriving at the sanctuary, a massive, ancient space station cloaked in shadow, the trio found refuge among a community of rebels and outcasts. The station was alive with whispers of hope and defiance. An elder alien approached Eris, bowing respectfully. "Princess, your arrival is a beacon for us all." Eris nodded solemnly. "The Council's tyranny must end, but we cannot do it alone." Kale felt the weight of their cause. He was no longer just a man caught in strange events. He was part of something greater. Mira pulled him aside. "The Council will hunt us relentlessly. We need allies, resources, and a plan to expose their corruption." Kale's thoughts raced. "And the binding, what does it truly mean?" Eris stepped forward, her voice steady. "It is the key to uniting species, breaking the chains of control, but it's also dangerous. The Council fears its power because it challenges their authority." Late into the night, Kale and Eris connected deeply through their bond. Memories, emotions, and unspoken fears flowed between them. "I'm scared," Kale confessed. "This world, your world, it's so much bigger than I imagined." Eris's voice softened. "Fear is natural, but together we are stronger." Their connection pulsed warmly, a silent promise that whatever came next, they would face it side by side. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the station. The Council's forces had tracked them. Mira shouted, "They've found us! Prepare for evacuation!" Chaos erupted as defenders scrambled to protect the sanctuary. Kale grabbed Eris's hand. "We have to move!" They raced through corridors, dodging blasts and falling debris. Rebels fought fiercely, buying time for escape pods to launch. Eris guided them to a hidden chamber, activating a portal shimmering with alien technology. "This portal leads to a safe system, far from the Council's reach," Eris explained urgently. As they stepped through, Kyle glimpsed the desperate faces of those left behind. A mix of hope and sorrow filled him. The portal closed behind them. For now, they were safe. But the fight had only begun. Secrets unveiled, the safe system they emerged into was a stark contrast to the chaos they had fled. Soft starlight filtered through the ship's viewport, illuminating the faces of Eris, Kale, and Mira, worn but unbroken. Eris exhaled deeply, her eyes scanning the unfamiliar constellations. "We are far from the Council's immediate reach. Here we can gather strength and plan." Kyle sat heavily in the captain's chair, still reeling from the relentless pursuit. "I never imagined my life would spiral into something like this. I just wanted normal." Mira smiled faintly. "Normal is a luxury none of us have anymore. But sometimes the extraordinary is what saves us." The sanctuary they had escaped was only the beginning. Now in this remote system, allies awaited, rebels, scholars, and warriors who had long resisted the Council's iron grip. Their base was a sprawling asteroid fortress, camouflaged by dense asteroid belts and cloaked technology. Inside, holographic, maps flickered, showing star routes, fleet movements, and rebel enclaves. An elder named Leora approached Eris with reverence. Princess, your arrival renews hope, but we must reveal truths long hidden if we are to triumph. Eris nodded. The binding is the key, but we must understand it fully. The Council's fear is rooted in something deeper, something they desperately want to keep secret. Kyle listened intently as Leora revealed ancient texts recovered from forgotten worlds. The binding was once a sacred ritual, one that united not only species but also royal bloodlines across galaxies, Leora explained. It was designed to create peace and balance. But, Eris interrupted, the Council twisted it into a tool of control. They outlawed the binding to maintain their monopoly on power. Kale's mind raced. So this connection between us, it's more than just biology. Yes, Eris confirmed. It's a symbol of unity and rebellion. Days passed as they trained, strategized, and formed alliances. Kyle found himself growing stronger, not just physically but emotionally, embracing the weight of his role. One evening, under the twin moons of the asteroid, Eris and Kyle sat in quiet reflection. "I never thought I'd find someone like you," Kyle admitted. "Someone who sees beyond what I am." Eris's voice was soft but firm. "You've changed everything, Kyle. For me, for the Empire, for the future." Their connection pulsed warmly, a beacon of hope in uncertain times. But even as they bonded, the Council's shadow loomed. Unbeknownst to them, a spy lurked within the rebel ranks, reporting every move to the ruthless Council commander Varric. Varric's hatred for Eris ran deep. "She defies the Empire. She must be broken." He activated a fleet of warships, setting course for the rebel stronghold. Back on the asteroid fortress, Mira's keen senses detected the incoming threat. "The Council's fleet approaches," she warned urgently. "They mean to crush us before we can act." Eris's expression hardened. "Prepare defenses. We fight not just for survival, but for a future where no one is ruled by fear." Kyle stood beside her, determination blazing. "We won't back down." The battle was fierce. Laser fire streaked across the void as the rebels' ships engaged. The superior Council fleet. Within the fortress, alarms blared as enemy forces breached outer defenses. Kale led a squadron to repel invaders, fighting alongside rebels with every ounce of strength. Amid the chaos, Eris confronted the traitor, a trusted advisor whose betrayal cut deep. "Why?" Eris demanded, her voice trembling with pain and resolve. The advisor sneered, "Power belongs to the strongest. Your rebellion is a foolish dream." Eris's eyes blazed. "Then you will fall with the Empire." With coordinated efforts, the rebels pushed back, forcing the Council fleet to retreat, though at great cost. The asteroid fortress was damaged. Many lives lost, but hope endured. In the quiet aftermath, Eris and Kale stood among the ruins, their bond stronger than ever. "We've only just begun," Eris said. "The Council will not stop," Kyle nodded. "Then neither will we." As they looked toward the stars, a new resolve settled within them. The binding was not just a connection, it was a promise that humanity and alien kind could unite against tyranny. Together. The binding's true power, the shattered remnants of the asteroid fortress lay silent beneath the swirling cosmic dust. The scars of battle marked every corridor, every chamber. But inside, Eris, Kale, and the remaining rebels gathered in the command center, a place now heavy with both loss and determination. Eris's eyes scanned the star map, glowing with quiet resolve. "The Council's forces will return. This time. They intend to end us for good." Kyle stepped forward, voice steady. "Then we make our stand here. No more running." Mira nodded. "The binding between us, it's more than a connection. It's a symbol, a force that can rally every oppressed soul across the stars." The command center's holographic display shifted to reveal countless star systems suffering under the Council's reign. "If we broadcast the binding's truth," Eris said, "we can ignite rebellion everywhere." But it's dangerous, Kyle warned. They'll come for us with everything they have. Eris smiled faintly. Then let's show them what humanity and unity can do. Outside, the rebel fleet prepared for the final battle. Ships were battered but brave, ready to fight not just for survival, but for freedom. Kyle stood beside Eris, on the command bridge. "No matter what happens, I'm with you." She reached for his hand, their bond pulsing warmly. "Together we're unstoppable." Suddenly the void outside lit with warships, hundreds of council vessels descending like a storm. Commander Varek's voice crackled over the comms, cold and unyielding. "Surrender now, Princess. End this futile rebellion." Eris's voice rang out, fierce and unwavering. "Never. The binding will break your chains." The battle erupted with cosmic fury. Blazing laser streams cut through space. Explosions rocked ships as the rebels fought with desperate courage. Kyle piloted a fighter alongside Mira, striking at key council vessels. Eris coordinated defenses, her presence inspiring every soldier. In the heart of the chaos, Eris activated the ancient device, the core of the binding's power. Light surged from the console, spreading across the fleet and beyond, transmitting a message: the truth of unity, the call to rise against oppression. Across countless planets, eyes turned skyward, hearts ignited with hope. Commander Varek snarled in fury, ordering a devastating strike at the rebel flagship. Kyle intercepted the attack, sacrificing his fighter to shield Eris's ship. His craft exploded in a fiery blaze, but Kyle ejected safely, hurt but alive. Back aboard the flagship, Eris received Kyle's signal. "Kyle!" she shouted, relief flooding her voice. "We're not done yet," he replied, determination unwavering despite his wounds. The binding's energy enveloped Eris and Kyle, strengthening their bond beyond the physical. Visions of countless species, united in resistance, filled their minds. The Council's grip faltered as rebellion spread like wildfire. In a final confrontation, Eris faced Varek on the command deck. "You've lost," Eris declared. "The binding belongs to all who seek freedom." Varek lunged, but Eris's power surged, binding him in chains of light, symbolic and real. With the Council's forces defeated or retreating, peace began to dawn. Planets once shrouded in fear celebrated the new alliance of species. In the quiet, after the storm, Eris and Kale stood beneath a foreign sky, their bond stronger than ever. "We changed everything," Kale said softly. Eris smiled, eyes shining. "Not just us. Everyone who dared to believe in unity." Lesson: the binding taught them that true power isn't control or domination. It's connection, empathy, and courage to stand together against injustice. Humanity, with its resilience and heart, was not just a passenger in the cosmos. It was a force for change, and in that truth, the fate of the galaxy was forever transformed. The end.